That is a rather large fly. Oh, he's a bit cold. He's okay. Hi guys. I do a lot with this channel, obviously. Thus I've named it The Random Farmer, because you never really know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you one thing that I do, and I've done it for a long time to support my expensive habits. One of them being farming, and two of them apparently being, well, living. You know how expensive that is lately. So I do a lot of auction buys. I buy things from auctions, I fix them up, and then just try and flip them. You know, I try and buy them at a decently low price and fix them up, make a little money on them. Some of them do pretty good, some don't, but the interesting part of it is I'm always getting something different. So it keeps it interesting. You kind of learn about new equipment. Let's start. Now you could start with a lower amount, obviously. I've been doing this for a while, so I'm gonna start with, what do we got here? I'm gonna start with 800 bucks. So there's $800 right there. So we're gonna try and buy something with it on an auction. I don't know what it is yet. And we're gonna just try and see if we can make some more money on it. So let's see what I can come up with. Here you go. Here's what I found. I paid $7.50 for it. Got it on an auction. Was not too far away. So essentially, you stack your straw bales all on this back trailer here, and then you have this straw mulcher portion that hooks up to the tractor PTO. You can actually take it off of this trailer and put it right on the back of the tractor 3-point, or you can leave it on here. It actually just has some quick disconnects here to put it on or take it off, and you can put it onto this side or that side or in the middle, wherever you want it. And a guy sits up here on the wagon. Well, I guess it'd be a trailer because there's no front wheels on it. And he just puts the straw bales in here, and these teeth down here, which are pretty much just sickle sections. It's easy to replace. Just puts them in here, and it mulches it up and leaves a windrow of straw behind. So you could put your strawberries or garlic or anything you want to do. It'd be kind of cool too. One of the reasons I bought it for a few reasons here. There's actually a lot of utility to this. For one, you got a decent little trailer here, okay? Two, you got a 3-point mounted straw shredder. So you could back in animal pens and stuff and put down bedding. You could use it exactly for what it's for. And you can even feed hay with this thing, really. Put hay bales in here, and if you want to go out into an arena and spread like a little windrow of hay or something for your animals, or just a pile, that's kind of cool. So there's a lot of things you could do with this thing. For $800 or $750, how could you go wrong? So I'm excited about this one. So let's figure out what it needs before we can try and sell it. For one thing, this tire here won't hold any air. I guess it's really only flat on the bottom, so maybe that's not so much of a problem. We gotta fix that. And I mean, there's really not too much on one of these things. Looks like you got your manual. Oh, well, it's supposed to be manual engagement. Seems to be seized up, so I'll have to do something with that. Well, let's fix those things first, and then we'll try it. I feel like I did really good on this auction. And the thing to remember is you're not gonna win on all of them. So you always keep your eyes open, and you always gotta figure out, I guess, what's the most you're willing to pay for it. Dang, this one come out easy. Oh, I got one bar in the battery. Let me Let me change batteries here. 4 bars on that bad boy. Let's see if that makes a difference. A little faster. They still come out kind of hard though. So I like stuff like this, because you know, you got to figure worst case scenario when you're buying something to repair it. Stuff like this doesn't get to be too expensive or too crazy. There's no engines or anything to go wrong with them. There's a grease zerk on that, that's kind of nice. Feels good. This thing's pretty solid too. It doesn't look like it's been used all that much. It's been taken care of. I think these just need a little lube. I don't think they need anything special. I've been doing auction flips for a long time. If you know what you're looking for and you kind of narrow it down, you can make some decent money. I always look for weird stuff. I like stuff that nobody else is really watching or bidding on. That seems to be what I do the best on. Look at that. Didn't take too much. Just needed a little bit of lube. It sat outside for so long. So you push this forward and then it locks behind that little bar right there. So this should be disengaged. That would be engaged, I think. Well, maybe the opposite. We'll know when I get my tire back from the tire shop. You know, for tires, I hardly mess with them sometimes because they charge me like 30 bucks to put a tube in them. And I think I spend $80 worth of grief with them sometimes. So I let them handle it. Just drop it off on the way to work, pick it up on the way home. I'm happier for it. Got the tire back, 32 bucks. It's got a tube in it now. No big deal at all. It's kind of a pain to get these lined up. There's no studs that stick out. I just like doing this stuff. For one, you can make decent money at it. And two, you guys get to play with new stuff. I always get to play with new equipment. Things I've never messed around with before. You kind of learn it all. That's fun. As long as it's not too much of a mess. But if you do it wrong, it happens. You can lose some money on it. You get to meet a lot of different people too. We'll give that just a little bit of grease too. I got up this morning and I looked out my back window and I had chickens in my barn. And the thing is, I don't own chickens. Big old rooster too. Won't get too much in there. My cat thought it'd be funny to go over and try and scare that rooster. It didn't work out for him. He ended up running away. I have told this story before, but when I was younger and I lived with my parents, we used to have chickens. And I used to have this super, super mean rooster. I named him Magruder. And when I would get home from school, I would let him out in the yard, him and his hens, and they'd run around. And that rooster was mean, boy, was he ever mean. And my sister was in a different school. I think I was in middle school and she was, no, I think I was high school at the time and she was middle school, and they rode a different bus. And that rooster, when she'd get off, and that rooster, he knew the sound of that bus when she'd show up. And my sister was pretty scared of that rooster. For some reason, he had it out for her. So when she would get home off that bus, she would try and walk through the woods up to the house to avoid the rooster. But he knew. And he'd go running right off into the woods after her. She'd go screaming up to the house. It was pretty funny. Thinking back now, it might have been a little bit mean. Whoops. What do you think, Ruger? Is it good? Should we try it? I love these old tractors. In the wintertime, they usually fire up like nothing. See, this is essentially your key, so it's on. There's no temperature. She's cold, I don't know if you can see it. No temp, she'll fire right off. This old stuff starts easier than a lot of the new stuff. They had it figured out back then. I don't really care what anybody says. He's a bit cold. It's not really smoke, it's more of a condensation and what have you. It's a little bit of smoke. Almost like I knew what I was doing. You know, one thing I'm kind of noticing is this shaft just looks, and it does retract, but it's retracted all the way. It's like it's too long to go into here. One thing I noticed, this drawbar is extendable. Pull the pin right here and you extend it out, probably for your working mode. I think it's going to be easier to unhook it from the tractor and slide it out rather than try and pull it out and line that hole up. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Clean this pin up, make it a little easier for the next guy. This right here is a cat pump I'm rebuilding. I got it out of a junkyard for $5. These are really easy to rebuild. You can get rebuild kits and stuff for them. They're not hard to do. These things are $600 brand new. Actually, they're a little over $600. They're like $670 or something like that. So let's take a whack at it. You know, there's a little trick with these to make them not do that. Supposedly, lock it in, and then give it just a little turn. Oh, this one don't do it. Huh. I guess the Ryobis don't lock. See, the Milwaukee I got at work, you do that, and then you give it just a little bit of a turn the other way, and you feel it kind of click, and it locks the chuck so it doesn't do that. When it comes to big metal pins, nothing beats grease. Just good, heavy grease. There we go. Good as new. Okay, it's quite a bit longer now. You can see it is moving. It started right there and it slid down to here. I'd like to get it apart so I can grease it up so the next guy doesn't have to fight with it. But yeah, when you need the heavy pulling done, break out the old wheel horse. Notice there's no hood on it. There's just so much horsepower it blew the hood right off it. Get stuck from sitting super long, water runs down in them. You know, I've heard of old farmer tricks. Somebody say, some old farmers will tell you, if you got a shaft that's stuck like that, go throw it in the pond for a few days. Apparently, water's really good at breaking stuff free. You wouldn't think it. You'd think it'd rot up. But you keep it underwater and submerged, supposedly it'll break them free. My theory is the water kind of rejuvenates the grease, kind of, if it gets really dry and hard, it kind of softens it back up. I usually get impatient and just yank them apart. Just gotta work it around a little bit. To start the PTO, you got to clutch in, come under here, grab this PTO lever, pull it up, okay, and then let the clutch out nice and easy. Stay away from that PTO shaft because there's not much of a guard on it. It's running. Disengage it. And you can throw your victim in from any direction. Straw bales by victims. That's what I meant. Definitely what I meant. let's grab a bale and see what happens. The question is should you take the twine off it or shouldn't you? Probably should, because when you're doing your windrows, you don't want twine in all of your windrows, but I kind of feel like it'll catch most of its own twine and you just torch it off at the end of the day. I'd probably cut it if it were me. Let's go somewhere where we can make a mess. Big break. I'd like to make sure everything works perfect before I try and sell anything. I don't like surprises. Somebody comes to pick it up, they drive from a long ways away or something. I don't like selling junk. Okay. You can see there's twine in here already, like they weren't cleaning it off. For this one, I'm not gonna worry about it. So, let's throw her in. Clutch in, engage PTO. Nice and easy, let it out. So you stop it, throw your bale in there and let her spin. Because that made a heck of a pile. Let's try this again. I've never run one of these before, so it's interesting. Alright, let's back up. That's quite a pile. Get a little closer here. Okay, so essentially engage that. Apparently that's engaged. Locked up as disengaged. This needs to spin so it evenly gets around to all the cutting teeth. Engage PTO. First gear, which really isn't slow enough on this tractor. Nice and easy. The tractor moves along pretty fast, but that's not a bad row of straw, really. That's kind of cool. This is where I had stopped, but that ain't bad. If you had a tractor with a little bit of a slower speed, you could run the PTO faster if you wanted a heavier row. That's pretty cool. Let's try again here. piece of equipment. Works pretty nice. Well, we'll list it up for sale, see what we can get out of it. We'll move on to the next project. Well, there it goes. Just like that. They drove 4.5 hours to come get that. I just took the H and I hooked it to the front drawbar on it and pushed it on. Not too shabby. I probably could have asked more money for it, but the thing is I like to do auctions to where you're moving material. You know, I could ask top dollar for everything, but you end up sitting on it forever. So the idea is sell it at a attractive rate, move things through, get your money, get your capital back, get on to the next thing. Not too shabby. We paid $750 for it, $32 tire repair. Was a $782 was our original cost. We sold at $2,500, so that puts back in our pocket $1,718 out of our original investment of $800. So essentially we added $918 to that original amount. Not too bad, didn't take long at all, wasn't all that much work. Got lucky on that one. That one was a good one and it was fun. So yeah, now we move on to the next one.